Okay, welcome everybody to the Richmond Heavies Foundation Mental Wellbeing Chat, an opportunity to find out more about what the foundation's doing, more about the services they offer, and more about what is relevant to you as a member of the club, a member of the Richmond family. And we've got representatives from across the club, myself, Joe Byrnes, representing an aging representative of the men's senior side. We've got Mel Antao, who is a stalwart of the Richmond Rugby Club and representing the women's section. Don Palacio, who spearheads all the mini youth community and senior coach work that the club do. Basically, if there's a bit of good doing that the club is doing, then Dom's fingerprints are probably all over it. So Dom does plenty of good work.
You're going to make me blush, Burnsy.
Not just for the club, but for the community. And of course, we've got Matt Brown representing the legendary Heavies and really one of the key players in the Richmond Heavies Foundation, again, spearheading the mental well-being initiative that the club are trying to promote at the moment. We're all just trying to get together and really here talk about and shine a light on what the program is for and what it can offer you. Let's face it, guys, I think that even the toughest, most resilient characters are being tested by, we're going to use the word of the moment, these unprecedented times where, you know, our lives are being affected socially, work-wise. What is our purpose? So much going on, so much to challenge us day to day. How are you guys bearing up?
Yeah, all right. We've been doing some stuff in conjunction with AFC Wimbledon. So once a week, which is something to look forward to on a Saturday. People dropping off food to us, sort of dry goods, and second-hand text. That's been a little bit of organisation during the week for that. Around that, lots of trying to just stay in touch with people at the club, mini and youth. So yeah, but routine's completely changed, obviously, and these unprecedented times, as you say. But yeah, strange. The change of routine is it's become a bit more. The habits have sort of started to stick, like getting out of bed at whatever time. What now, Jake?
To be honest, I think like everybody else in lockdown, I've gone through ups and downs. There's been things like the upside is not commuting and having at least 3-4 hours of my day back, but then I never really thought I was a routine person, and actually I was, in terms of like going to work, coming back from work, training, trying to eat before training, then going home and trying to eat and then kind of all the volunteer stuff afterwards. And I don't know, I feel like I don't feel as focused as I would normally, because I'd normally be doing 100 things at once, and that kind of helps my time management, adds a bit of stress, and it's good stress, and that's what I love because it keeps me on my toes. But then having all this time, I'm late for stuff in my own house. Which is like, I live by myself, so it's just like, I'm late for stuff because I get distracted.
I mean, I guess the role of the Heavies as a playing community, we finished playing on Friday the 13th, away game, a final loss of the season against Guildford. But no sooner as the lockdown kind of came in, I guess being a stay-at-home dad, it was more of the same. Teach Josh how to throw the rugby ball better, kick it better, and do all of that. But I guess part of this discussion that we're having today is that the Heavies Foundation, of which I'm an active member of that group of 6 of us, came into a decision mode at the end of March when the COVID-19 came about, and decided that we'd open up the mental wellbeing program to the rest of the community and the family at Richmond, to all members. So not just as we've had it in the past to kind of the players, the coaches, the staff, etc., but actually kind of put it out there to the whole club membership, because we recognise that it could have a benefit as long as people engage with it. And, you know, there was a big question as to whether it was necessary, whether people would engage with it, because there's that classic question, if people don't take it up, then that's a positive, isn't it? Everybody's feeling good. But as has proved, as everybody has seen, the amount of messages from various different kind of corporations, from Mind, the mental health charity, to everybody's workplace, everybody's kind of social media feed, it's all about looking after yourself, both physically and mentally, at this time when it is so strange and everybody's gone into isolation. So my role as Heavies secretary changed, so I wasn't communicating, trying to drive people to play at the weekend. It was more kind of thinking of how we were going to communicate this message and make sure people knew about it. So thank you from our side of the Heavies Foundation for everybody joining the call, joining us today, and Joe for leading it. You're doing a great job so far.
Making up as I go along, as I always do, Brownie. I totally assure you.
Well, that's how I played the game since joining Richmond, making it up as I went along. Who knew where I was running? What line?
Well, Brownie, you've led us on very, very nicely for me to ask you exactly what the Richmond Heavies Foundation is offering as part of the mental wellbeing programme.
So the foundation have basically put in place a programme that allows all members of Richmond Rugby Club to contact a series of different kind of providers, because obviously, we've partnered up with a couple of companies. The first company is a company called Care First. So Care First offer a lifestyle portal that you can access. You go online, you put in the user code, all of this information should have been received on email, but we'll come on to that later as well. But the portal gives you a wide range of information, from looking at what facilities you can help yourself at home, information about helping you at work, and also kind of looking after your health. Alongside that, there's a phone number that provides you 24/7 access to counsellors out there that, if you have the need to ring to talk to somebody, and it's one of those really kind of nice touches in life that somebody somewhere can listen to you for, 20 minutes, half an hour, 40 minutes, and put you in a better frame of mind, basically, and allow you to kind of refocus, because sometimes we all need that. So that's part of the Care First. And then kind of overlapping all of that, there's something called the Thrive Mental Wellbeing app. It's a NHS approved application that can basically just stay on your phone, and you can access it again 24/7. It allows you to kind of, test your mood and put you through a series of programs that helps you kind of build resilience. It's certainly not going to treat, the higher ends of mental health, but it certainly kind of signposts you to the right directions. And, if it's tracking your mood over a period of time, then effectively it can point out things that you might need to ring somebody, or you might need to look at this kind of CBT session or something else. So, getting involved and engaged with that, a bit like various other fitness tracking apps, is, something that we'd recommend people do, because it's free, it's on offer to everybody, and that's what the foundation is trying to do. So, since we launched this back in April, on the back end of all the goodie seasons finishing, we will continue to kind of push the message out and give people more information, more content, whether it be on social media or things like we're doing today, just to kind of explain stuff. Because whatever kind of stage you're at with mental well-being, mental health, there are aspects out there that can help you.
Yeah, I'm at the Thrive app. We obviously been on the Heavies group with you guys as well, when you encouraged everybody to upload it or download it. I've been tinkering around with it. I sort of did a CBT bit last night. Really, really good. Really, really good. It just makes you think about the way you're thinking.
Yeah, and it's funny. Sorry, Joe. It's funny that you mentioned that, Dom, because actually I think my understanding of the Thrive app is that, and I'm no psychologist, I'm no psychiatrist, but what I understand about it, having been on a little bit of a road journey in my own mental health over periods of my life, is that, I think the Thrive app really does help you focus on, those aspects of negative thoughts. And it's kind of like an actual kind of life skill in being able to change how you think about things, because we can all go through the day and go, oh, I'm not feeling great, and then you can kind of get a bit self-analytical and stuff, but I guess that is CBT, and it's not something to be concerned about or ashamed about. It's a life skill that if you can rechange and rechannel those thoughts into more positive things and say, hold on, I don't really need to think about it, I need to do something else, then I guess that's what it's there for. So
yeah, it's a funny thing, isn't it? Because as sports people, we wouldn't think twice about setting up a program to make ourselves physically stronger and to track our progress and to have those goals at the end of the tunnel. But to not apply it to the mental side of things almost seems crazy, doesn't it? It's an absolutely terrible word to use in this context. But that incremental care and acknowledgement of where you are psychologically, you can reap those rewards further down the line rather than it getting to a point and building up like pressure behind a dam and then it giving way.
Yeah, I think more so at the moment with all the unknowns. I think a lot of mental health issues come as a result of people not being able to cope with unknown. So if we talked about routine earlier, didn't we? About Mel, you talked about going to work, those routines which we just take for granted actually keep us on that steady road. But as soon as that disappears, then all of a sudden your mind can start to wander. And then when you've got, just been reading on the BBC News earlier about it doesn't look like any summer holidays are going to go ahead. So there's my couple of weeks in Spain gone. But then you start going, well, what do I do now? And then the stress of just that little thing then, the stress of, well, how am I going to get hold of EasyJet and what's going to happen with my flights? And that all of a sudden there's a little bit of anxiety added into my life just by reading an article. Hasn't affected me that much, but I'm sure other people have their coping mechanisms vary massively.
Okay, so in terms of just talking about coping mechanisms, so the Care First website, the phone line, the Thrive app, on top of physical activity, are those coping mechanisms that we use, as well as kind of other things that are out there. And I think that's what's really important, that people just need to know that there's lots of different things that are out there that can help them at this time. It's not just one thing that's going to fix everything or help their mental well-being. It's a number of things, and them just realising that it's there for them to use. That's important. So I don't know about everyone else. It's just like, I'm sure everyone else has been doing, lots of, activity or weights as much as you can with what you've got in the house, as well as kind of, as Dom said, like, speaking to friends, family, trying to go out for a walk, or just do things that are just silly or make you laugh, just to kind of, if you get yourself out of those times when you're feeling anxious.
So one thing I'm garnering from what you guys are saying is that it is not an app, it's not a program to fend off, you don't have to be depressed or suffering from anxiety to a chronic level to be drawing on the benefits of the program, of the app, that mental well-being is a spectrum. It could be that you've woken up blue on a Monday because you're feeling a little bit purposeless because it's the same old at the moment. As you said, it could be disruption to work. It could be disruption to personal relationships. There's nothing too big and there's nothing too small, but you can always dip in and use these services to give you some perspective and maybe some guidance on the best way to tackle these issues that you're struggling with on that given day.
Yeah, I think so, Joe, for definite. I mean, certainly within the Thrive app, the aspects of the mood meter, which if you actively use it over a period of time, it will basically just kind of track what you're doing, like any kind of fitness app or different kind of apps. It looks at all of that data that you fill it in. I recognise that, it's another thing to do in your day, and the day is, as Mel was saying earlier, quite jam-packed, even though we're all kind of at home or isolated. It's one of those things. But even if you dip in once a week, certainly to the Thrive app, you can get over a period of time the benefits. And ultimately, like I was saying earlier, it's providing you with skill sets. So as you mentioned, Joe, all the different things that you would do in the gym, you don't do all the different exercises that, the strength and conditioning coaches, tappers at Richmonds, who was there back in the early 2000s, late 2000s when I was in the first team. I didn't do all the exercise that he gave me every week, because it was all section, one thing one week, one thing a different another month. So, but it gave me the skill set to basically cope with anything moving forwards when I had that kind of time, if that kind of makes sense. It does in my head, but who am I to know? I'm a bit mental.
Well, it's great that you mentioned tappers, because there's an S&C element to the service and the care that the foundation are looking to provide.
Yeah. I mean, certainly that holistic kind of approach to, and I guess this is it's an interesting one, because I guess we launched the mental health, mental wellbeing kind of initiative last year. It was basically something that was fed back to the foundation as something that people thought would be a good aspect to kind of include, because obviously, the foundation was set up originally on the back of 3 untimely deaths. Mainly 2 of those through, cardiac issues, and we then went on and screened, as it is to date, 300 people at the club. With active screening and mental health seemed a natural step for us. So, if we were looking at it like you were saying earlier, our target would be the players and the coaches and the staff, and certainly as players of rugby, there's so much focus on skill training. The mental aspect of these things could just help you. And as Libby, the women's section player, spoke, it was that the app helped her throughout the week kind of gain that kind of understanding or confidence, so that she did turn up at training in the right frame of mind. And I guess, like how you deal with your nutrition, it is that kind of holistic approach that if you can do something, aspects of mental well-being, then it should help you in your daily life, your sporting life, your working life, of all of it. So.
Definitely, Brownie. Something kind of like a tool that allows you to train your mental well-being really helps, especially like the last 3 years, where within the women's section we've been in a high-pressured environment where there's a necessity to perform because it's in the highest league, and some of those results affected kind of where we came and our position for the next 3 years. So it was very much like pressurised rugby, and for some of our players, at least probably like a quarter of the girls, they were coming through our centre of excellence, and playing Premiership rugby, being in that environment, was their first taste of senior rugby. Especially for a younger player coming up, they're not used to the strength and conditioning or the video analysis, and their skills that as a club the coaches and the management staff are trying to give them. But also there's an important aspect of well-being that as a club we should be looking to try and supporting of like those, especially the younger players with, just because then that creates a habit for life, and then they start earlier to learn those tools, rather than you kind of like some of us trying to learn these skills, now. Obviously I've learned these skills ages ago, so I'm really resilient through sports injuries.
I think the sort of the team sport environment actually brings its own challenges as regards to behaviour change as well, because we're in especially with if we're talking senior rugby, and even with the youth section, the perception of self as a player versus a coach's perception of you. How often do coaches have conversations about how do you feel and all that sort of stuff? It's more about getting a performance out on the pitch on a Saturday or on a Sunday if it's youth team rugby. Then the hurdle of, if somebody is struggling, that admittance within a team environment that they maybe their mental health is being challenged based upon whatever it may be. They're struggling to. Mel, you've just said a new player goes straight into Tyrrell's Premiership, going into the standard of rugby you're playing. how do they cope with that? So if we've got, as a club, somewhere for those people to go to talk to somebody neutral or go to the app, I think it's massive. But it's going to take time for people to switch in.
Yeah, and I think that's...
also...
Yeah, carry on, Matt.
I was going to say also to trust in something. It's the same as kind of like, it's that building of that trust that you would have with the strength and conditioning coaches, that you would anyway with your coaches as you start to get to know them and work with them more. It's working with the app. So something like the Thrive app, I think you do need to try and log on to it every single, as much as often as you can, I think, to get the best benefits out of it. And then that creates that behaviour, because then you get a true picture of where you are.
Picking up on what you've said, Mel, one of the things that I really do enjoy, and I guess I've experienced this at Richmond since '97 when I first joined, is that it's a massive family. I do believe even today that it's a better family than it's ever has been. So certainly when you look at the teams, and I guess we all represent different kind of sections of the club. One thing that the foundation, wasn't necessarily our aim, is that, we'd have this kind of element of the community and the family of Richmond, and that should you spot a fellow player or somebody else, you can just point them in the right direction. You can signpost them to, look, go and have a look, ring the number, speak to somebody, it might help. And that's all at the end of the day you can ever want to do. We want to create awareness of this program. I think we're doing that. It'd be interesting to know, what you've heard. And I say this not as I say this from the foundation's perspective in some ways. Is have you heard, or what has been reported within your kind of sections? Because I guess we all need the little champions going and saying, look, have a go at this, try it, look at it.
I have within the women's section, so there are quite a few players I know that have talked about the app when we first did kind of all the screening, and then kind of through all the reminders being sent through emails with the passcodes and getting all those set. And then some people that haven't utilised that opportunity through Thrive or through Care First are then, we're supposed to really point out, actually, there's this for free. They were like, oh, I forgot about that. So it's getting them to sign up immediately, straight away, and then they know that it's there rather than it's something you've got to do. But
I've certainly signposted, from just off the top of my head, 3 players towards both the app and the counselling. And I know certainly 2 of those 3 have used the counselling. They confided in me on a one-to-one basis about struggling with certain things, and which was at first a little bit, you normally talk to them just about rugby rather than go back to how you're feeling type conversations, but you do spot some of these changing behaviours. And so, there we go, straight away, we've got some impact. We need more people to recognise, I think, within, it's a, more so maybe, is it a male trait not to want to be able to talk about your feelings?
Yeah, I think that's evidence is there, Dom, that is the case. And I guess once again, I think that's the benefit of the program that's been put in place. So, the Thrive app, it's in your pocket. Going onto the app, it judges you, but it doesn't judge you like a normal human being. You can really mark your words when you talk to somebody. And certainly something that went round, even in the senior section of the Heavies, was, ask somebody how they're feeling, and then actually ask them again, ask them twice, because the first time you're very much likely to go, yeah, I'm fine. And then the second time that you ask somebody, you go, yeah, actually, I'm a bit like this. And I think, talking about it more, as I've found, because I guess I've been living and breathing it and trying to push out messages, is that in some ways, the more you talk about it, the more it gives people permission to kind of just open up a little bit more. And look, if anybody came to you most of the Richmond family would want to help, whatever section, whatever team, whatever you played in. Somebody would say, okay, I'm sorry to hear that, but let me help you, let me see what you can do. And if nothing else, this program, the mental wellbeing program, it gives everybody the signpost to just go, well, go and speak to this person or go and speak to this company, because it's outside of the club. It's all private. It's all confidential. And these are the experts that can help you, whatever spectrum you're on. And the other thing is that I guess what was interesting is, I guess, the communications that we've had. The mental health charity picked it up because they saw the article in the Times, and they said that it was the first time that they'd ever seen this in a community sporting club, and they deal with the Premier League, the higher end of cricket, all manner of different things. And, we were, quite taken aback by that, because simply we'd done it because we felt that it was necessary at this COVID time. And I think the other thing, just stepping back to COVID-19, is that in many ways that kind of isolation and discussion, has allowed people to kind of talk more. It's evident even in the Heavies WhatsApp group, the amount of people who've wanted to join or come or get involved because they needed some more contact. Because I guess we don't get that sport at the weekend, do we? So we need to be entertained and smiles brought to the faces by whatever means. And
playing too regularly, because the strength of a club isn't just about the 23 who are sporting the jersey on the pitch at the weekend. It's about the supporters. It's about the rest of the club infrastructure. It's about everyone that makes up that fabric of the club. So what good is it looking to do for people who aren't taking to the pitch every weekend?
Asking about the members, obviously, as I've said, the decision from the Richmond Heavies Foundation was to open up the mental wellbeing program to all paid members of Richmond Rugby Club. We are, as we've said on a little bit of a strapline, a club that plays and supports together, stays together. And certainly we wanted to make sure that, if you are a paid up member of Richmond Rugby Club, and anybody within your family, because it's accessible to them as well, if you are experiencing difficulty at this time under COVID-19, whether you're having troubles with your business, whether you have troubles with your relationship, obviously we have a lot of people in the membership that are over the age of 60. And as we all know through this, that group of people are the most kind of ones that are, this wretched kind of disease is kind of attacking the most. And there have been a couple of deaths at the club. So, there is obviously grief counselling out there that's accessible to lots of different people. But again, Care First on a lifestyle portal, there's aspects of that dealing with bereavement. And there's a phone number there. So, it might not be the first thing that you think about, but, I only reminded myself just with VE Day and my granddad, as it so happens, being in the war, how much I miss him, even though he died a long time ago. But somebody whose parent or family member died recently, that support service of what's there on offer is in has a place. Obviously, there's a lot of people at the moment kind of feeling about what their job security is and being furlonged and all these kind of different aspects. Again, that service is there.
Furloughed, Brownie.
Furloughed.
Furlong. 8 furlongs make a mile.
Oh, okay. Furlongs, eh? Well, you see, I'm not worried about my job. I'm not really worried about my job. I'm a stay-at-home dad, so the only person that can sack me is my son.
So on Saturday we had a member of the club, active youth team coach, come and drop some items off. He shall, for the purpose of this, remain nameless. But he told us a story about his sister-in-law, who passed away literally the last 2 weeks on her own. And so a first-hand account of somebody who's lost somebody close to them, but in quite horrendous circumstances because of the nature of this disease. There's no loved ones can go anywhere near somebody who's got it in hospital and everything else. So not only or they having to deal with bereavement, it's also the manner of the bereavement, and then having to go watch a funeral virtually through something like Skype or Zoom or whatever. You can't actually be in the church or wherever it may be. So having the option of people being able to speak to professional counsellors through stuff like that would, you can't actually attach any sort of value to that game. It's unbelievable the fact we as a club can offer that to anybody, and that level of support. And just from a perspective of how we are as a club, I'm relatively new to the club. I've only been at the club 3 years as someone who's employed to go and do various things out in the community, sort of whether that's school engagement or looking after the mini and youth section on a Sunday. Having been involved in other professional clubs and also at grassroots clubs elsewhere, there are many clubs who sort of preach the one club mantra. But I think we've got a very special thing going at Richmond, because the fact we're all sat here now in a virtual meeting, but that goes further than that. You could just been able to connect everybody up one way or other, whether that's through heart screening and making sure everybody from 14 years upwards was tested, and then giving them the option of, they've now got the option of going down having their mental health checked. I don't think that's per the Times story. Nobody else has ever done that. So I think we've got to, from my perspective, I'm going to thank the Heavies Foundation for doing it, but I think it's amazing. And I've got to mention the STEM 4 thing for the teenagers. So I know it's an aside. So Brownie, the stuff it's only over 18s, isn't it? The app where
the mental wellbeing program is for over 18s.
Yeah. So we as I say partnered. We've just majored STEM 4, so they also have an app which is for teenagers. It can be found on any app store or Google Play, wherever it may be, and it's a similar thing. It's a free app, but just to sort of cover off the mini and youth side, and that's more designed sort of 13 to 18. So yeah, it's quite, I just want to say from my personal perspective, I think it's quite an amazing offering that we can offer to our members.
So really, Dom, you raise an amazing point there, because I tell you what, the club can help in mysterious ways, and it's not just talking, it's not using the app, it's providing jobs, it's providing opportunities. And, those amazing moments that you shared with teammates for the club on the pitch, in the bar, they reach far beyond. And it's a club initiative. It's backed by the Heavies Foundation, but it really is in keeping with what the club stands for as a whole, that one club mentality. In fact, Dom, I probably wouldn't be here today if you hadn't given me a job back in the day. So, it's a testament to the fact that no matter what you're going through, ask someone, and you never know how the club might assist you. And it might not be in the way that you'd expect, but it's worth the question. So, Brownie, 100%. With Mental Health Awareness Week coming up, the work that this mental wellbeing initiative backed by the foundation is doing couldn't be more pertinent. So I think I'd like to leave it up to you to wrap things up.
Firstly, thank you, Joe, for hosting and asking such insightful questions. It's always good. Mel, really appreciate you coming in from the women's section, and certainly, Dom, it's nice to have you from the community side, and the more that you can keep on doing, collecting all of those tins and those tech on a Saturday, then keep that up. So, next week is Mental Health Awareness Week. The theme this year is kindness. I think this club shows kindness throughout all different, days, weeks of the year, whether we're playing or not playing. And certainly, the program that's been put in place, we, didn't want to sit when the COVID-19 started. We've actually done something about it, and it's very nice to see it. We're really pleased with the engagement that's happened so far, and we want more engagement from people, because the system's out there. Whether you just touch it once a week or whether you're active on it every day, then the program's out there, and we wish you all well. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Brownie.
Cheers, Brownie.
Cheers, Joe.
Thank you.